At Panda Surgical, we're developing dexterity enhancing devices for neurosurgery, and we found that there was a clear problem, a clear need for innovation in this space, because one of my co-founders, Hani Marcus, he's a practicing neurosurgeon and had those problems in his clinical practice. We think there's a dire need for innovation in neurosurgery because neurosurgery hasn't been updating in tech with the same pace that other disciplines have, say laparoscopy. And especially when it comes to the procedures we're tackling, they all share the same problem, and that is confined spaces with long corridors that make access very difficult, and they lead to worsened patient outcome. By bundling procedures with this same clinical need, there is a global problem that is created in various different subdisciplines of both brain and spine surgery, as well as neighboring disciplines such as ENT, that creates maybe 2 million procedures a year that could be enhanced by robotics. When surgeons want to remove tumors and other abnormalities from deep within the brain and spine, what they used to do is they would cut the patient open. Of course, that's incredibly invasive with very high fatality rates. So in the 90s, they came up with this new approach where they could penetrate deep tissues in the brain and spine through natural orifices, such as the nose or the eyes, or tiny artificial incisions on the top of the head or at the back of the patient. And they could gain access to those areas. They could see the tumor with navigation and cameras. They still can, but the instruments they have available make tissue manipulation incredibly difficult. That means that while they can reach the tumor, it's very tough to completely remove it. There's a lot of complications, and your surgery is very tough to learn. These operations are specifically difficult. That's why we're developing dexterity-enhancing robotic devices in a very compact and inexpensive handheld manner, where the surgeons can penetrate deep pockets within the brain and spine anatomy and do delicate maneuvers that were previously impossible to more effectively manipulate tissue, leading to more tumor resection in a safe and precise manner. We are developing and introducing handheld robotic devices. We have a reusable handheld controller on which you can connect a series of different wristed instruments such as grasper, scissors, curetter, dissectors at only 3 millimeters in diameter, which is very important to penetrate those confined spaces. Our handheld controllers are motorized, which means we can offer robotic capabilities such as smooth motions, motion scaling, feedback through sensors. And in the longer run, we're also developing software assistance where we will use our robotics data, we'll combine them with video data to come up with powerful data analytics features such as safeguarding or assisting during the operation. These devices are very lightweight, they're very easily incorporated into the operative theater, and just through a joystick and trigger, the surgeon can have wrist-like dexterity in deep confined spaces within the brain and spine anatomy. These operations currently do take place. Thing is, they're concentrated in specialist centers around the world with long queues, and very often surgeons will avoid these types of operations due to the increased risk, or very often there's a high chance for complications or repeat procedures. That's why we think that with this dexterity enhancing technology, we can enable more hospitals to offer these procedures, and we can make surgeons learn these procedures faster. In a recent study we did, we found that even with a few minutes of training, novice surgeons could outperform expert surgeons with our instruments when the expert surgeons were using conventional instruments. So while we need to repeat those studies at a larger scale, we have very good indication to believe that we offer very short learning curves, enabling more surgeons and more hospitals to do the specialist procedures. There's a lot of interest in this space, which makes it very natural that there would be a lot of robotics, both robotic and manual dexterity enhancing devices out there. Thing is that none of these are really designed or suitable for neurosurgery. You have these bigger systems that are used in laparoscopy. These could not fit in those confined spaces. And even handheld systems, they will either be too big or too clunky to use if they're manual. Even in the instance where they could fit in the deep corridors of the neurosurgical space, the control interfaces aren't really suitable for effective tissue manipulation. Our robotic devices, on the other hand, have been designed specifically for these tough approaches, and at only 3 millimeters in diameter, we tie some of the smallest commercial systems out there. That fact, that more effective tissue manipulation, combined with how inexpensive our systems are and our software systems, we think can make a very strong argument about how this will be a viable option for neurosurgery. Panda Surgical was founded by a team of experts in both robotic and AI-assisted surgery. Alongside myself, I have founded the company with Hani Marcus. He's a consultant neurosurgeon at the National Hospital for Neurology and Neurosurgery. He's even gone to write some of the guidelines on how to perform and evaluate neurosurgery. With us, we founded the company with Dan Stoyanov too. He's a UCL professor. He's affiliated with Medtronic because his previous startup that he was involved with was acquired by Medtronic, and he has another exit too in the medtech space. Fairly on, we hired a team of incredibly talented engineers that have taken our product to this preclinical stage in a very accelerated timeline. And because we hadn't done this before, we understood how important it is to involve people with experience in the space. That's why we have Jeff Alvarez from Manios Surgical. He's been advising and also part of our board of directors since day one. And also the Manios Surgical CTO, Dave Noonan, is advising us on tech. We're a university spin-out, which means we have both the support of UCL as well as the university hospital, and we've been backed by both private and public investments that have been massively helpful in reaching this stage. We're currently in the preclinical stage. We've done a lot of preclinical evaluation in cadavers, phantoms, and in the lab. We've done some ergonomic studies. We've compared our instruments to conventional tools, and we are actually going ahead with our first live animal trial in a few weeks. We hope that within a year or so, we'll be doing our first in-human trial, and that will be a small-scale safety evaluation study in London, in the UK. And we have a laser-focused approach for FDA approval within the next 2 years or so. We're targeting both the European and US market at once. So we do think and expect that US market approval will be first because the FDA does offer some programs that aim towards acceleration, especially with novel devices such like ours. But we are based in Europe. We have very strong ties with European hospitals and US hospitals too. So we are targeting both regions at once. We also have an APAC strategy. And because we want to be global, because we want to have a presence everywhere, it is very likely that we will soon look into expanding in different regions too. Thus far, we've been financed by both private and public investments. We've had this first million British pounds from Primanova Technologies that had been financing our first year of innovation. We recently secured that government grant from the UK for another million, and we've been using that money for product development. We've expanded the team. We're a team of 6. And we've tried to protect the technology as much as we can. And very importantly, we had our first FDA pre-submission meeting earlier this year. That meeting set the pathway forwards. So we now have a two-phased approach, one in the US and one in Europe. So we hope that we will very soon follow up with a pre-sub supplement to make sure that the plans we will suggest for regulatory approval make sense. And to get to that FDA submission, we will very soon be raising $6 million USD to grow the team, to expand on our portfolio products, and also finance that first in human trial and do the clinical studies towards FDA submission. We are currently developing tissue manipulation instruments for neurosurgery. That would include wristed instruments such as graspers, scissors, dissectors, curettes in some instances. Then we will quickly expand on that instrument portfolio with more specialist instruments such as suction, energy, cameras. These are things we've already been working on, and of course our software assistance features too. These products will be regulated on a phased approach, building on pre-existing technologies. And our vision is to then take these instrument portfolios and transfer them not just in brain and spine, but also ENT, which is a neighboring discipline that shares some of the same clinical needs, and even in non-neighboring disciplines too, such as urology, in the longer term. By bundling all of these different operations that share the same clinical need, we think we can make a very attractive proposition for a sustainable business in the longer run.